Terrified, paralyzed, something's got a hold of me. Let me go, I can't stay. I'm choking on my crooked day. Wake me up if I sleep, 'cause I'm haunted by my dreams. Crying out, but I can't speak, 'cause I'm choking on my crooked days. A crooked days. Caved in, hyperventilating, cutting way too close to my skin. I feel the devil trying to creep back in. I feel the devil trying to creep back in. I'm possessed by the everyday stress. Flashback and I'm trying to forget. Bloody hell, bloody night, bloody mess. Terrified, paralyzed, something's got a hold of me. Let me go, I can't stay. I'm choking on my crooked day. Wake me up if I sleep, 'cause I'm haunted by my dreams. Crying out, but I can't speak, 'cause I'm choking on my crooked days.
All right. Good morning, guys. I'm glad to be back. How's it going, folks? Good morning, Pac-Man, Ali, James, Sid. James? No, James. LaunchBox is not an emulator. It's not an emulator. If that's what you're looking for, you should go somewhere else. Hey, Scott. I was listening to music and I didn't really want to turn it off. So hopefully we don't get a copyright strike or something for doing that, but whatever. James is just being a dummy. James Baker is the guy. You guys know who James Baker is. He's the guy that creates all the awesome theme vids for us. Hey, Neil. So basically today, guys. Hey, Neil. Whoa. No, don't repeat me. There we go. Basically today, guys, we're going to get started on the stuff from the poll. So that's exciting. I do too, Dave. I code and jam constantly. When I'm not streaming, I'm almost always listening to music. Not always, though. But like, since I work from home and my kids are home, I've gotten used to pumping the tunes just to keep the family noise from distracting me all the time. Hey, Quad, Neil. Morning, Retro. Morning, Pierre. Jay. Sure, James, sure. So, let's take a look at the poll results. So you guys probably already know what the top 5 are. But we had LaunchBox Games Database on the top. So obviously I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that. The only trouble there is it's hard to work on the LaunchBox Games Database on the stream because it's a website. And so there's like credentials and stuff in there, and I can't, like, it's not so easy. I mean, I can, the problem is I can't, like, yeah, I guess I could test it locally and stuff. So we could do that, but I'm not set up to do that today. So we're not going to work on the games database today, although I will start work on that this week. Obviously, since that's the number one thing, I clearly need to spend some significant time on it. So that's planned for this week, and then there's 2 other things that are planned for this week. I need to wrap up some of the theme stuff I was working on. And then also, I'm working with EXO to get the EXO-DOS collection going, and so I need to get that up and running this week as well if I can. So those are the things that are planned for this week. But then we've got the other 4 items from the top 5. We got duplicate image prevention, big box plugin support, background updates, and retro achievements. I'm thinking, really, I mean, it's just, okay, you guys vote. on these four, let's just say the top three. Which should I tackle first here? Duplicate image prevention, big box plugin support, or background updates? Hey Juzzo, refresh. Godsend. Cool, man, yeah. Stifilus. What happened to the YouTube feed today? What do you mean, Stifilus? Is it not working? Duplicate images, background updates. Nobody wanted text to speech. Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that. That was the very bottom one. Duplicate, plugin support. Um, something easy, Pac-Man. That's not easy. The duplicate image prevention is probably the biggest. Well, no, plugin support. But well, and they're both. Those are both difficult. The easiest is definitely background updates. Duplicate images is the next highest. Sure, there's several parts to the duplicate images things. I think we're probably getting more of that than anything else. So we'll do the. Although I agree, it's always best to start with the easiest, which would be the background updates. But duplicate image prevention. I guess that's probably going to be. Well, it's by far it's the most it's highest voted other than the games database. Some of these can be done with plugins, yeah, of course. We will. I will do the plugin support thing very soon because I'm honestly of all this stuff on the list, I'm almost most excited about the plugin support. So I'll make sure I get that going here, pretty quick. Whatever helps Big Box load faster. Hey Ian, we will work on performance, David. Hey Slash Guns. Deep image prevention would be dope. Sure. So basically, my plan for the duplicate image prevention is to, anytime an image is downloaded, do a CRC check to make sure that it doesn't, it doesn't, it's not the same as an existing image. That's not going to be perfect, but it'll get us close. Basically, an image can still be the same image, but if it's if it's formatted differently or if it's resized or any of that stuff, then it's not gonna. I don't plan, at least for V1. I don't have any plans to do any like rough image matching, sort of like Google image search or anything like that. That's gonna be tough, and I don't know what we would use for that. But so step one is just to do a CRC check on the image files, and you just compare them and see how that works. So we'll do that here first. Plugins are just going to provide added functionality, Ali, so the community can develop stuff against them. Really, the main purpose of the main thing we're going to do with plugin support is just provide access to the data using our internal libraries for for the community to build their own functionality. Haha, pure luck. I can, but you got to help me pronounce her name. I'm not sure how to say that name. Hey Peter, it would be an option to move the ROMs that are not already in the database of LaunchBox to clean the directories. Yeah, organize everything. Yeah, I get you there. That would be nice to have. Awesome, Peter. Well, welcome welcome to Austria. Welcome from well, I don't know what I'm talking about. All right. So let's get going on duplicate image prevention. CRC. First thing we need is a way to CRC a file. When Exodos will be integrated for LaunchBox. I'm going to be working on that this week, as I stated a few minutes ago, Juzzo. So will it be done this week? I'm not sure. Depends on how well things go. But I'll be devoting at least a whole day to it this week. So hopefully we should see some significant progress there. Cool. Thank you, Pac-Man. Yeah, that does help. Awesome. The only thing I'm concerned with is performance. We need to figure out the most performant way to do it. Reading this article a little bit here. Nothing built in to do it. That does surprise me too. Because unsigned ints aren't CLS compliant and won't play well with Vue.net. I see. The other thing is, basically, I don't. That's another good point. Is we don't really need CRC32 or CRC checks. What we need is an ability to identify whether two files are the same. And to speed things up, we can probably check file size first, because if the file size doesn't match, then they're definitely not the same. And if the file sizes match, then we can check CRCs. I'm just thinking through this out loud. I don't know that there's any better way. I'm going to do a generic search here. C# check if files are identical. How to compare two files fast using .NET. Typical approaches recommend reading the binary via file stream and comparing byte by byte. That's got to be slow. But a checksum comparison such as CRC be faster? Are there any .NET libraries that can generate a checksum for a file? Slower than a byte by byte comparison. Yeah, because it's got to add calculations to it. Sure. So really, I mean, there is no faster way to check to see if a file is identical than loading it up via a file stream and comparing it byte by byte. And that makes sense because you're going to have to touch every part of the file. But we can speed it up by checking the file sizes first, because if the file sizes don't match, then obviously it doesn't match. So I need a utility library to just check to see if two files are the same. So we'll start there, and we'll go from there. This is going to go under unbroken, because this is probably going to be usable if I ever, come out with anything else. So I'm going to say public static bool check. Let's just do get our files identical. String path 1, string path 2. Slip system. Will we get access to creating our own menus and items? I'll be keen on creating a live TV plugin and maybe a music plugin. Sure, slip system. When we do the plugin system, we should work together to come up with what we need. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff. The very first thing I'm gonna be working on is just a means to provide easy access to the data model, so you can access LaunchBox data. Then after that, we can try and figure out how to build in hooks to the user interface and stuff like that. So Turk, welcome. I can't. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, but I'm gonna go with Turk. We can't see right now. There's no way to track how much time you spend in game because it's not, nobody's been able to do that well, and so we haven't really tried to implement it. Steam does it, but they do a horrible job of it. Although that is a fairly common request. File names don't match. What do you mean by that, Jozo? Checking file size and CRC is exactly what I do to increase performance. Yeah. Thanks, James. Did I find a new place in Colorado? No, I didn't. And actually, it was I mean, the houses are getting snatched up like this in Colorado, and so that kind of sucks. So basically, what we're planning on doing, we're not sure if we're gonna move at this point, or I mean, we will move eventually, but we're not sure if we're gonna like put it off for a year or put it off for a few months or what we're gonna do. But ultimately, you know, we're kind of just ready to relax for a while and stick around where we are. So we'll see. I mean, we have the flexibility of being able to move anywhere, whenever, which is a huge blessing. So I'm thankful for that. But we kind of got burned out on it because we just couldn't find anything that met our needs where we were looking. So we're just going to hang back and save up some money, because another thing we discovered was we couldn't really afford what we really wanted. So that's another thing. Houses out in Colorado are stupid expensive. So, you know, we're going to hang back, save up some money, and see what we feel like in a few months. So plans have a little bit changed. We're not that eager to get going with everything anymore because we just didn't find anything that fit our needs. So that's where we're at in Colorado. We'll be in California for a while longer. Hey, Vissy. No, Sid, I haven't made much progress on the theming stuff. I mean, I worked on it more that day, but then I kept it. Last week was just not a good week for development because of the trip. But like I said earlier in the stream, I'm planning on getting back to it this week for sure. There's a few things I need to get back to this week. But yeah, I will get that stuff going for you. I'll get back to that stuff here very soon. But I did promise that I was going to start on the poll items today, so that's why I'm jumping on that stuff. But don't worry, that stuff's not going to fall through the cracks. I'm going to be working on a bunch of different stuff this week. I'll take a day for pretty much everything, and we'll run from there. Duplicate image prevention, Vissy, is what we're starting with. Can't it just look for the same file name? No, that's not the point there, Falcon. Basically, the same images are sometimes downloaded from EMU Movies and the LaunchBox Games database, and that so basically the file names aren't going to match up. That's not the point. We already do that for the most part, and that's not good enough. Basically, we have to check the actual contents of the file. You always thought program developers were fat. You know, it's interesting. I've met a lot of overweight developers and a lot of skinny developers. It's pretty much across the board. There's no, the only thing typical, and this actually doesn't apply to me very much, but the only thing typical about developers is that they're nerds. Well, I am a nerd, but what I mean by that is like they're socially awkward is a common thing with developers. And I am a little bit socially awkward, but not the way a lot of developers are socially awkward. Does it ignore the file name? Does what ignore the file name? Basically, from Emu Movies? Yeah, well, it's a different file name between the servers and the actual stuff. Hey, Dave. Right now, Turk, there is no playtime functionality. Yeah, I love that CD32 theme from James. He keeps putting out awesome stuff. Thank you, James. We want more platform themes. All right, James, you're going to be dragged across the coals now. Steam Desk monitors how long the process is running. Yeah, that's what it does. And we'll do something similar like that eventually. But the problem with that is, depending on the game, depending on the emulator, that doesn't always work. Sometimes games have multiple processes. You don't know which process to check. Sometimes even Steam messes that up. So for like GTA, GTA 4, I remember on Steam never reported correctly the time that was running because it had multiple processes and it didn't work correctly because of all that stuff. Or at least it didn't used to. So there's all kinds of issues there. So some games have launchers, all that stuff. How do you know what is the... You can figure it out. There is some rough stuff you can do. The other problem is, what bothers me about it is if you leave a game open and you're not in game, then it's a bogus result. So to me it's I've never done it because I can't do it right, you know what I mean? But we'll probably add that in there eventually with the caveat that it just is not going to work right no matter what you do. Move to Australia. Why should I move to Australia, Jezzo? I like Australia. Wood's from Australia. PCSX2 is the worst emulator in the world. Why do you say that? Sometimes menus disappear in the new Switch theme. Interesting. We'll have to take a look at that. A zillion times as socially awkward as you. Revenge of the Nerds. Stop it, guys. You're making James cry. Kangaroo. Prawns. All right. So our file's identical. First thing we need is to check the file sizes of the two files. So, and then check to see if the files exist. If not, file.exists path1. And then, really, we should get the absolute paths if they're not absolute. Get full path. First off, if string.isNull or empty, path1, or string.isNull or empty, path2, return false. From there, we get the full path. So we say path1 equals filehelper.getFullPath, path1. And path 2 equals file helper.get full path, path 2. Then, if not file.exists path 1, return false, or not file.exists path 2. Okay, so we have files that exist, we have the full paths to them. Now we check to get the size of the files, and I think we use a file info for that, but I'm going to check. File info.length. Var info1 equals new file info path, path 1. Let's zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see my code. Sorry for that. And info2 equals new file info path 2. Do I need to dispose these? Apparently not. So if info1.length is not equal to info2.length, then we return false. And then at this point, we have to compare the actual contents of the files. Let me check on comments here. So we should check, James, as far as Amiga CD32, what is the official name on the game be? It really should be Commodore Amiga CD32. Yeah, okay, so the official name is Commodore Amiga CD32. That's the official one. So make sure that folder is named right, James, if we're having issues. Yeah, so yeah, definitely, because whatever the folder name should definitely match what's on the games database. So James, make sure so rename that folder for me if you would, because that will make sure everything shows up properly for people. Hopefully it will let you rename the folder. I'm not sure, it might not because it might be in use, but we'll find out. Commodore Amiga CD32 is the proper name. That's great to hear, Godsend. Too bad LaunchBox can't just be the OS. Yeah. Say my name. Turk is the best I can do, man. Will this clean up duplicates and update paths, or just generate a list? So, yeah, we'll create a process to clean up all the duplicates, Quad, eventually. Hopefully for this release. But the first step is just to make sure duplicates aren't downloaded when you download new images. My dropped frames don't look too bad. That's weird. Actually, they are looking kind of bad. What's going on here? It's like they're going up. All right. Well, let me know if the stream has issues again, and then I'll go run around the house and try and disable stuff. It could be restream, and if it is, we'll just have to restart the stream probably. No, the official name. Oh wait. Okay. does the official name of LaunchBox need updated? Is that the problem? No, it shouldn't be. Let's check that out, James. So if I'm going to have to do a fake import here, unfortunately. Let's see. You just need some files. Doesn't matter what they are. ROM files. Yeah, it's under Commodore. Commodore Amiga CD32. So that is what the folder name needs to be, James. Commodore Amiga CD32. Hey Latin, can we get a loading screen like Rocket Launcher has? Right now it just says loading game. We get things like loading progress bar, cool background image, etc. Right now we're going to leave that up to Rocket Launcher. We'll get that stuff in there eventually, but that's a pain in the absolute rear end. It's annoying to do, and you have to sort of do it differently for every single emulator. It causes some problems. Rocket Launcher does it as good as anything can, and it's not something that I'm excited to implement. Please start over from the beginning. Hey Neil. Will you ever do an interface for pinball? Yes, I'm sure we will. I mean, it is on the list. It's on the poll. So yeah, and it got, well, where was it on the poll? I think it got actually fairly high up, if I remember correctly. Let's take a look. Pinball. Well, it's not. It's pretty low down. So, honestly, I expect that most everything on this list will get in there eventually. The stuff that, I mean, the line is like right here as far as what I'm going to be tackling soon. In other words, I'm not going to do a new poll until we tackle everything down through startup videos. When we start to get down to these, I might do a new poll before we tackle those. But all of these will just end up on the next poll. Not all of them necessarily. We might forget about the LaunchBox Arcade VR thing, because if people aren't interested in that, I thought that would be an exciting thing, but people don't seem to be interested in it, and that's a major, major, major undertaking. And if really that few people are interested in it, forget it. The other stuff is a lot simpler to implement. So, kid mode, man. I can't user profiles kid mode. So few people care about that. I'm surprised. I've been wanting to implement that for years. Touchscreen support, nobody cares. The RSS newsfeed I thought would do better as well. The text-to-speech thing too. ROM extraction progress. Select random game. Yeah, so I mean that's where the cutoff will probably be. Just because that's where the first big drop off is. Somebody texted me. Let me figure out what's going on here. Oh, it's just Amazon. All right. Thank you, Pac-Man. I will do that. Hey, Jade. Rocket Launcher does do a good job with all that stuff. Shocked that profiles is so low. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it would definitely take me a long time, and honestly, the arcade thing would be something that we'd have to hire for. I mean, it would be a major risk. But the way I look at it is if my entire community wants it, or the vast majority of my community wants it, then I'm going to take the risk and jump in, you know? I mean, I took the risk to get LaunchBox up and running. I might as well take the risk to take the next step. But I got to figure out, you know, we gotta keep focused and make sure that if whatever risks we take like that, anything major we do. I mean, on the last poll, it was Android was the risk thing to do. And so every time I put out a poll, I gotta put something major on there, to see what the community's take is on it. And if it is voted high, that's when I jump in and I take the risk and I'm doing something new and you know, surprising, whatever. But neither of the two things that were risky got high votes. So we're just gonna keep pumping forward on what we got here. All right, but yeah, that's a good point. We didn't pray, and we definitely need to pray. So, any prayer requests before we pray for today? Going back to the code here, we checked the length. I need to find some code on checking files identical. Because I could write it myself, but it's probably unnecessary because I'm sure a million people have done this before. No, we don't need an MD5 hash. That's just stupid. That's exactly what we decided was completely unnecessary. Sure, so this is... Insert coin voice command. Yeah, the other thing about the arcade VR thing, one thing I probably didn't communicate well enough is that you don't need VR to do it. If you ever messed with retro arcade neon, it would be something like that except more flexible. And you can do it without the VR. You can do it on just a screen. The whole point is having a virtual reality arcade where you can go up and play all your games. You pray LaunchBox loads quicker. Nice, Charco. Exhausted. Yeah, that's how it works. But I hope everything went well. Your wheelchair has a short in it. Uh-oh. All right. So, are you getting that fixed, Jade, or you need prayer for being able to get it fixed, or... Zero multi-wheel for each platform would be nice. Yeah, that thread is on the forums, and I'm not sure if you came from that thread, but we will be doing that stuff at some point here. I'm not sure exactly when, but yeah, I'll definitely be adding the more of the multi-wheel features that didn't get in the nested filter stuff. Exactly, Neil. Retro Arcade Neon is so confusing. Yeah, and that's the thing. We would make it a lot easier. But it would, at the same time, it would be very difficult, risky. It would be a big investment. Font size and certain themes views. That's something that I'm hoping to tackle here soon. It is, but it isn't. In other words, you have to do it manually in the theme. Yeah, retro achievements. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I'm excited about that too. Very excited about that actually. But I have to look into how to integrate that in, with RetroArch, or other emulators. I'm not sure. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, partnering with something existing like Retro Arcade Neon, they're not going to be interested in partnering with me. That would be neat, but I just don't have a whole lot of hope for that. Retro achievements are achievements just like Steam or Xbox for your retro games. 3D arcade mode. Yeah, that's the whole point, Danny. Hmm, that's cool. Memory stream and bytes. Yeah. Oh, and that's ultimately. Well, I was. This is using a file stream. This is the same thing as a memory stream for the most part. I don't know if RetroArch does a Thomas Wave. Anyways, let's. Well, first off, before we get into this code, let's go ahead and pray, guys. Awesome, Neil. All right, Lord, thank you for getting us safely back home, getting me safely back home, and my family safely back home, and thank you for home. Thank you for this community. It feels really good to be back home and into development again, and not stressing over, you know, travel and all that stuff. So thank you for the opportunity once again to come together with everybody and make some good progress. Um, Pray that you would help us be productive today. Bless our conversations. Um, get Jade's wheelchair fixed or keep it from breaking so she's not stranded somewhere. Um, and help us to have a good stream. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Maybe you guys show the alphabet across the bottom of one of the themes to help search through the games faster. I was wondering if that could be a feature on all the themes. It should be a feature on all the themes already, although I know some of them don't have it, but the vast majority of the themes should support that. That's pretty much there already, so. All right, so as far as file comparisons here, the only thing I don't like about this code I'm looking at is there's no using statements. It seems to always be the case. Why people don't use using statements, I have no idea. It's not like, I mean, this was built in 2013, so it's not like we're dealing with a really old version of .NET. Use using statements, developers. All right. Using var stream1 equals new file stream path1 file mode dot open file access dot read. Okay, and then using var stream2 equals new file stream path2 file mode dot open file access dot read. Okay, so we have our two file streams, and we can actually use the file streams to check the length. So whether that's going to be quicker or not, I'm not sure. I'm guessing that's going to be quicker than loading up a file info. So So let's, if stream1.length is not equal to stream2.length, then we're going to return false, and it should automatically close those streams. And we don't need the file infos after all. Then interesting. This is the meat of it right here. Do so we need an int byte 1 and byte 2. Okay. So byte 1 equals stream1 dot read byte, and byte 2 equals stream2 dot read byte, and then while do we initialize those bytes? No, we don't. Okay. While byte 1 equals byte 2 and byte 1 is not equal to -1. I'm not sure what the point of that is. The byte 1 is not equal to -1. Because I don't see that being initialized as -1, although maybe -1 is returned by read byte if it doesn't exist. I don't know. And then they determine whether they're the same. This is weird, but okay. Return byte 1 minus byte 2. Oh, I get it. I know why. Equals 0. It's kind of some weird code. Does an equality comparison, a length comparison, and a byte by byte comparison. Apparently this was pulled from Microsoft, this code, so I'll trust that. That works. It'll be obvious if it's wrong, right? Yeah, that's what I don't understand, isn't it, Neil? I don't understand why this code has to be so complicated. Byte 1 minus byte 2 equals 0? I mean, what's the point of that? Whatever. Though I'm going to leave it, because apparently this is an example straight from Microsoft, so might be something I'm missing. Is it because of negatives or something? I don't know. Hey, Double O. Yeah, Neil, I mean, I can understand caching it if you were doing this on a regular basis, but the only time we're going to be doing this is when you're downloading images and checking if they're the same, or running a process. So it's not like this is ever going to be run during regular use of LaunchBox. So I think we need a simpler solution than that. I don't see any reason to do the whole caching thing. this is also going to be on a one by one basis. So it's like, well, okay, so we're going to compare a set of files. So basically, we're going to, when a box front image is downloaded, we're going to get a list of the files that already exist for box front. We're going to compare them to see if any of them match what we've got. So yeah, you're right in that we need to support running it against multiple files at once. Hashes are nice too, since you can use them to determine if you should even download a file. Yeah, and that makes sense, Neil. The only problem with that is I can't get hashes from all my sources. Um, I mean, that makes sense, but I don't have that information. When I download an image from Emu Movies, I have to download the image. I don't have the source of whether it's, I don't have the hash of it. So for that reason, I have to download everything before we do it, because I just don't have that information. If I did, it would be solved, but I don't. So for that reason, we can't. Yeah, I could implement it on our database. We could use the hashes and store them on the server and all that stuff. I mean, and it could potentially prevent or save some bandwidth, although we can't do that for everything. I'm torn on that. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it. It would save some performance and save some bandwidth, yes. Save you from having to download extra images. That's a good point. But we can't do that already. I mean, Emu Movies won't support that unless I, talk to Circo and we build new stuff for them, and I don't think that's going to be anything we're going to tackle. That is a good point, though. If we built a hash system on the server for the images, we could save some bandwidth and speed things up. Because right now, it's going to have to re-download. It's going to have to download everything over again, and we should prevent that in this process. As much as yeah, it's probably worth doing the hash on our own server, even though Emu Movies doesn't support it. For our own server, it's probably worth it, because it's going to save some bandwidth. It's going to save some time for people. So for that reason, we should probably do that. So yeah, this does tie into the games database a little bit. I'm gonna have to add a system to the games database. So yeah, I'm kind of taking a step back here, guys, because to do this properly, I'm gonna have to add hashing for all the images on the games database. So basically, what that means is I got to start there before I can continue with this stuff. So for that reason, I think it would be best to wait on this until I can do that. Because until, and the reason is because, so say you run a download metadata and images process. The way we're currently working on it, we would have to download the entire image for every single image, compare it to the existing stuff, see if it matches, and then delete it if it matches. But if I add hashes to the LaunchBox Games database, then that would allow us to ultimately not avoid downloading the file before, and so basically you can just skip the file over. So yeah, we need that bad. And even movies should have that, but they don't. So ultimately, we might, I mean, we're gonna have to do that for EMU movies for now because we don't have any other option. But yeah, we should really go back to the drawing board. I'm glad you guys are helping me think through this, so thank you. Because yeah, we should do that properly from the beginning, because otherwise we're just spinning wheels. Huh. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this method in here. I'm sure it'll work fine, but that's probably not something we're gonna use. Yeah, use this as a fallback if hash is not available. Yep. You know what? I should check to make sure the eMovies API doesn't contain that info. I don't think it does, but I should check to make sure. It might. Come to think of it, it might, but I doubt it. Okay, so ultimately, if I look into the eMovies API, I'm curious. I gotta go check now. This is... Where's my eMovies class? eMovies wrapper or whatever. Where is that? Come on. Okay. So here's our eMovies wrapper class. Oh, it's in search. Okay. When we do a search on images, let's just do the single search for now. We get a result. What do we got on result? The download URL, the file extension, and whether it's found. Yeah, sadly... Oh, we do have a CRC. Look at that right there. Okay. Woo! I didn't think we did, but we do. Well, that's good. So we can implement this for the eMovies as well. Well, that's great. Well, sorry I misspoke there, guys. I don't know why I never saw that before. That is a good. Awesome. So yeah, so we'll do the CRC thing all the way, and we'll get CRC added to the games database, first off. And that will speed things up quite a bit and really, really, really help. And we'll get it all done proper like. That's great. All right. Sorry I misspoke there. I don't mean to communicate bad things about eMovies. Obviously, they have it. I didn't know that they had it. All right. So what we could do is I could load up. I need to create. The first thing I need to do is alter the game's database, backend database, and stuff to support the CRC data. So ultimately, what we need, if you look in your LaunchBox folder and metadata, we have this metadata.xml file that contains all of the metadata for basically the entire database. And there's game images in here as well. And game image right now does not have the CRC, but we would add it in here for all the images. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is add that field to the database backend on the server. And then I need to create an app to process all the CRCs for all the images on the server, which is not that big a deal. It'll probably take a day to run, but put that in the database, and then from there, the only downfall is it's going to increase the size of this metadata.xml file. That sucks because it's already way too big, but oh well. Hopefully it doesn't increase it too much. But from there, the problem is I can't really do that stuff well on the stream, guys, because it's server stuff, which is security issue stuff, so we can't really do that on the stream. So let's move on to something else for now, and then I'll come back to this and tackle this later today, probably, and we'll go from there. The easiest thing to tackle is the background updates, I'm thinking. So why don't we move on to that? Good to know, Neil. Okay. All right. So background updates. What we need to do, I think, I mean, it's not going to be that difficult. Ultimately, we just need to just automatically download the update in the background instead of doing it in the window. And then prompt after it's already downloaded that the update is ready. Another thing we can solve in that process is that right now the updates folder just has all these previous updates and they're named with a GUID, which is kind of annoying. So we can fix that as well, I'm thinking, in the process, so you know what each one of these is. That would be good. All right. Don't need that. So right now we have the updater form, which handles all this stuff, and apparently we're in different language here. Let's reset that. Dutch. So instead of doing all this in this window, we need to provide a method to do it in the background. It's not hard to do. It's already done in the background in the main form. We should also do it in Big Box, though. That's one thing. It has to be done in both Big Box and LaunchBox. So we need a method to do it. The actual download, we're using a web client to do it, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Download progress changed. We don't even need to report the progress. The next question I have for you guys, though, do we need to keep the existing process and then add an option to do the background updates? Should we do that optionally, or can I just, get rid of it and do things automatically in the background? So basically, if automatic updates are enabled, let's check the interface here first. So if we go into options, updates. So right now, okay, it says check for updates on startup. We're going to have to change this interface no matter what we do. I think we're going to have to add a box here to automatically download updates in the background. Given how you have the magical ability to crash concurrent logic. Can you explain that, Neil? I don't understand what you're talking about with that. Because, so for people that already have check for updates on startup enabled, we're going to have to change this interface. But the question is, do we need another checkbox to automatically download in the background and keep the current interface? I don't see much point in that, other than it does give you more control. One-time question, perhaps. Neil, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So, yeah, I know that's what we're going to do, guys. Is with Phil, automatically in the background would be my recommendation. That's what we'll definitely do. But do we make it optional? Or do we allow the user to... The thing is, what's the point of that? I don't know why we would bother with the added setting. If you don't want automatic updates, just uncheck it, If we do add an option to do the automatic updates, it will be the default, no matter what. Yeah, so you'll be able to turn it off, but it will be the default for everybody. Drawbacks, security nuts, bandwidth nuts. People who don't want anything happening without them being aware of it. That's the only drawback, the security stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, although Neil is trying to tell me something, I think, and I'm not following it at all. He says he can crash LaunchBox on a whim, whatever that means. I don't have any idea what he's talking about. So Neil K, can you elaborate on that? Are you tweaking host file or something to get? I don't understand. I don't get it. Cody has it optional. Don't bother asking. Well, I definitely have more votes to just do it without asking, but your collection is big enough you can cause a race condition, okay? That still doesn't make sense to me. I know what a race condition is, but this process only happens once on startup. So I don't get it, Neil. Well, nothing is going to automatically update. You'll still get prompted the same way. Once the download is done, you'll get prompted. Ping bar for Internet Explorer. Falcon, you're still going to get prompted. It's not going to automatically update. What it will do is automatically download the update. It won't automatically update. So when you start up right now, you get a message box that says, "Do you want to update?" And then it downloads it while you wait, and then runs the update. The only thing we're going to be changing is it will download it in the background and then prompt you once the download is finished to actually do the update. Okay. All right, cool. Oh, you're concerned about even more fingers in the library data at the same time. I see. Yeah, we're not going to be. I get what you're saying now, Neil. There's not going to be any additional fingers in any of the data. The only thing that is, it's just checking the current version, and that's about it. And then downloading it if it's new. Gods, I'm not a god. I'll tell you that. But thank you, Refresh. Yes, it does have to be in big box as well, so that is another good point. Speed issues. Yeah, the other thing is, I'm thinking what we could do is put, while updates are being downloaded, you know what? All right. I'm changing my mind here. So, on startup, you start up LaunchBox. Of course, it's not going to prompt us right now. A message box pops up the same way it already does and says, "Would you like to update now?" If you click no, nothing happens. If you click yes, then the typical bar shows up on the bottom of the screen, the green progress bar that downloads the update, but then you'll still be able to use the collection in the process, right? And then when the download is complete, it pops up a message box asking if you'd like to update now. We could do that, although that's not as seamless. But it does allow you to use the collection while the update's running. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Stifilus, I was surprised this was so high up on the list, but it was. I mean, this was the third top voted thing on the list. So, no question, people want this. And I'm thinking people want it to be as seamless as possible. So, honestly, as much as the thing is, like, having the bar on the bottom of LaunchBox would work in LaunchBox, but it's not going to work in Big Box, and most people don't want to be bothered with it. Sure, a notification queue, yeah. All right. I'm not going to do the whole green bar on the bottom thing because I think that's just that's not what people want. People want this to be like literally automatic, right? So for that reason, we want to do the downloads in the background. We know that. The only question was, do we need an option to automatically download stuff? And I guess I'm going to say yes. We do need an option to automatically download stuff. So I need to add a new interface here, a new setting for automatically download updates in the background, which is annoying. I don't want to have to do that, but we're going to go ahead and do that so we don't get complaints. So first things first, we got to go into data settings, and this will be on by default. We're going to add a new property, public bool, background update downloads. Except we're going to make it easy on ourselves. Just do that, and then to property with backing field. Copy that guy. I updated my ReSharper, and there's some settings in here that I need to tweak yet. We definitely don't want that, but I'll do that later. So background update downloads. We have the setting. We need to make it the default. So we need to go to Data Manager, initialize defaults. And we're going to say this.settings dot background update downloads equals true. Then we need to work on the actual form, the interface for the options. This is the options form. I'm gonna go to, where is it? Updates, right there. Check for updates on startup. We need to add a new checkbox. Copy that guy. I'm going to say, oops, automatically download updates in the background. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to move these down a hair. I'm just going to manually tweak the tab indexes here. Okay. Could do the old install update on next run thing. Not a bad idea. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, we could do something like that. Thank you, Refresh. Yeah, Brandon, absolutely. That's the plan. Something like that. All right. So that works for the interface. That should be fine. We just need to get the code working to save and load that particular setting. There's a save values method and a load values method. This.manager.settings. Background update downloads equals this dot automatically download updates checkbox dot checked. And then we need load values. This dot automatically download updates checkbox dot checked equals this dot manager dot settings dot background update downloads. There we are. And that should work for the setting just fine. Then we can actually use that setting to automatically download the updates. I'll check the interface here. Check for updates on startup. If enabled, LaunchBox will notify you and prompt you to automatically update. Prompt you to update when a new version is available. It's strongly recommend to keep this enabled and ensure the best possible LaunchBox experience. Automatically download updates in the background. So we can remove the word automatically from here. That's probably the... There's no reason for that. That works. All right. Good enough. So then, for starters, we are going to keep using the updater form if somebody unchecks that automatically download box. So that logic has to stay. I want to change the file name to, we're going to call it, the thing is we don't know what the version is at this point. Darn it. So we get the URL. I guess we need the version as well. Let's merge it. Okay, we're going to say LaunchBox plus this.version plus setup.exe. That'll be the name of the exe file that's downloaded instead of the GUID thing. And then if it exists, we got to handle that as well. In this case, where we're using the form, if it exists, and we're already here, in other words, we're already downloading it, then we're just going to delete it. If file that exists, oh wait a minute, file path is right there. This.file path, then file.delete this.file path. That works. So the next thing we need to do is just do this in the background, provide that mechanism. But actually, we need to fix the call to this, since so this is prompt update. File URL contains beta. Dang it. So I don't have the version fed into here either. And it's in the file URL, but I don't want to. Feed it on through, I guess. Oh. Where's our version? Okay, web client. Well, let's. We might not return what the version is. That's the problem. So this particular check, we use update check, and we feed the current version. And basically, the only thing we get back is a 1 or a 0. I guess we get file URL. Well, I'm gonna have to come back to this, unfortunately, because I gotta check server stuff, and I'm gonna have to change some server stuff to be able to get that stupid version. So I'm not sure. It'll be optional, James. Any severe speed issues? No, I don't think it's going to cause any major issues at all. It's just a... Yeah, nah, it's not a major issue. It could cause a little bit of slowdown if you got really crappy hardware, but eh. I keep getting text messages here. Let me check on that. I'm going to move on to a different part of it. The file name thing is going to... That is weird. It's got a text message that was supposedly sent days ago. Come on, Verizon, do your job. It's weird. Anyways, so we need to be able to download the update in the background. And this logic, it's going to be, I need to separate it out so that it's not in main form. Let's just use a new class. Put it in LaunchBox because it's not just part of the desktop. I'm going to create a class called Background Updater. Make it a static class. And in there, text from days ago or nearly a year in the future. Thank you, Lee. So I'm going to copy this for the most part. We need a web client. Public static, just do run for now. We'll come back to that. This obviously isn't going to work. We're going to need a, do we need, yeah, we're probably going to need private static web client. Why do I have my custom web client? So apparently we're not using custom web client. I can't remember exactly why I used a custom web client. Oh, in order to be able to retrieve just the head in certain cases. The head only thing, which we don't need for this. Okay. This dot version. The other thing is we need to check to see if the update needs to download, because if the file's already there, then we know that it needs, whether that it's ready to go. So I guess the first method we need, well, no, we can do it right here. I guess we can return a bool and then skip it if the file already exists. So yeah, if the file exists, at that point we should maybe check the file size. The thing is, like, what we can do is we can download the file using download the file using a temporary path, and then if it completes successfully, and we can confirm that it completes successfully. Right now, I mean, ideally we would have a CRC checker, but we don't have a CRC for the updates at this point. So another reason to do the CRC, but that's not there right now, and it's not typically a problem. I'm not aware of any complaints where the updates aren't downloading properly, or they're, so I'm not gonna jump on that right now. I can't anyway, since we're on the stream and we got to do that on the server. So ultimately, if the file exists, I'm going to assume that it's fine, it's valid, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to return true. We already have the file and we're ready to update it, basically. Bool. I'm going to say download. At this point, we do already have the URL as well. Let's do a search and replace this dot with background updater dot. Okay. We haven't initialized the web client, so we need to say background updater dot client equals new web client, and the URL is being fed in. File path. The thing is, this is going to have to change. Oh, this is expecting a URI, so we need to do new URI URL. Download progress changed. We no longer care about. We only care about completed. So we'll need to add that. And if we run into an error, the automatic downloads in the background, I'm just going to completely ignore any errors, because that will happen if you have an internet connection issue or anything like that. Forget it. Let it do it next time. So, ugly, 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 ignore. But actually, I'm going to return false in that case. No, we'll do this and then return false. No, the other thing is, this should already be happening in a background thread. So we don't want to use the events. We want to do it all and wait. So instead of async, alright, so this is going to change. We'll do this all in a background thread and then not use the async thing. Alright, let me catch up on some comments here. Hey Phobos. Charco. PC. Cool. All right, so instead of doing async, what we need is download file, I believe. Yep. That's all we need. And if it succeeds, well, let's go ahead and change this up a little bit. And then assuming we succeed with the download, we can return true. But we need the file path. We do need to download it to a temporary location first as well. So we need a temp file path and the actual file path. And we don't need this even as a... None of this stuff needs to be outside of this method now, which makes things easier. So I'm just going to say string temp file path equals paths dot get temp file path. That works. And then string file path, if file dot exists file path, return true. We don't need temp file path at that point. Now we need our temp file path. We say var client with a new web client and client.download file, the URL to the temp file path. Then just in some crazy case where something created that file, in the meantime, I guess I'm just going to delete it. Then we are going to call file.move temp file path to file path. The other thing is, though, we need to make sure the directory exists, just in case somebody deleted it while it was being downloaded. Do we need this there, though? Probably not, because it's not being used at that point. There we have it. So then we can return, we need to return the string. And we're ultimately going to return file path. And here we're just going to return null. So something like that works. That's funny, Monkus. Yeah. Or a certain monkey instead of a certain bear. Fan art, to be more accurate, that would be, just an issue with the images on the database, which I'm sure part of the problem is they all came from the GamesDB.net originally. But yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that here in the code. Thank you, Sid. All right. So we now have this method that will. We still don't know what the version is. I've got to do something about that yet on the server. So that's not going to help much in the meantime. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to even test this without changing some stuff on the server. Yeah, we keep running into server stuff today. It's funny. But I'll wrap this stuff up today. But anyways, so we have this method to download the stuff in the background. It's going to, if the file already exists, it's going to return the file path. We need to figure out, though, if the update's already been run. Well, no, we do that based on the version. We're checking the current version. We check this. Okay. That makes sense. So then if the background updates are enabled, we're going to, and we have an update available, we're going to call this method to download it in the background in a separate thread, ultimately. And then in that separate thread, it's going to return the string, and then we would prompt. So in our main form, check for updates. And then we got the download string completed. And we got the prompt update stuff, which is not valid. But if we go to the prompt update method, this is where we show the dialogue and all that stuff. This is where we show the form right here. This is what matters. So at this point, we don't care about the message. So if root.datamanager.settings.background update downloads, we're going to do one thing. Otherwise, we're going to do the old logic, which is right here. Otherwise, we're going to call this background updater dot download, feed in the URL, file URL, and the version. But we need to do this in a separate thread. So I need no, I just need new thread dot start. this. String result. No, string file path. If string dot is null or empty file path. Return. Otherwise, we continue, and this is where we prompt. We have a file available. I bet Easter egg codes at the top of the next poll. That's funny. Bear gift Konami code. Pac-Man, if I have background update enabled, then I'm prompted to update and say no, then I restart LaunchBox. LaunchBox should check to see if it already has downloaded the update rather than download it again. Yeah, of course, it'll be doing that. That's part of the code that we already added in the background updater class. Yeah, it's not going to download it twice. So basically, if you get prompted update and you click no, then on next run it should prompt you to update again. It should say it's automatically downloaded and prompt you to update without downloading it again. So that's the goal. No problem, Pac-Man. So at this point, it's already downloaded. We're in a separate thread. We're in the main form. And we need to get back on the UI thread so we can pop up the message box and prompt people to update. And obviously this code is going to be different for Big Box and LaunchBox. So getting back on the UI thread. Where's that code? Dispatcher or something? No, that's... I always forget how to do this. Invoke. This.invoke. That guy right there. Come on, there it is. There we go. So make sure it's run on the UI thread. And we prompt the message box. So we need a new message. So this is going to be the same, but we need some new strings. New beta update and new official update. We need to change those. Let's go into string. Message. Come on, what are you doing? Hurry up. That's weird. Come on, Visual Studio, what are you doing to me? There we go. Message, new beta update. Message, new official update. Can I copy those? Is that going to work? Yes. Message. New beta update downloaded. New official update downloaded. A new beta version of LaunchBox has been downloaded and is ready to install. Would you like to install it now? Then we would need an option to install it automatically on next open, which I want to add. The only problem with that is I can't use a message box in that case because I got to build my own stupid window because the message box control won't let you customize the button text. Crap. We'll come back to that. A new official version of LaunchBox has been downloaded. And is ready to install. Would you like to install it now? If we really wanted to be seamless, people are going to need prompted, to they need to know that there's an update available. But I think what we can do is just if an update has been downloaded and is ready to go, run it. Why not? On the next install or on the next startup. I'm still waiting for Moby Games to get back to us, of course. All right. So now, new beta update downloaded. New official update downloaded. And once we have it, we're going to prompt the message box. Come on, jerk. Then ultimately we're going to be doing this. Which is basically, we're calling another instance of LaunchBox.exe with the update parameter. We do this to basically prevent the issues with LaunchBox not closing before the setup was started. This was my solution for that. And instead of form.filepath, we have just file path up there. So in theory, that should work. The other thing is, though, if you say no, then we kind of need some way to tell LaunchBox that an update is needed on next startup. Yeah, I agree. It'll be more useful for beta users because there are weeks that we come out with a beta version every single day, and I'm sure that gets annoying because every time you start up LaunchBox or Big Box, you get a beta update notification. A bubble from the taskbar. Yeah, I mean, we could, although yeah, probably we don't have any interface to do that, so we'd have to build that in. Well, somebody mentioned a notification system, so it's the same kind of thing. Include a little pop out with the whoopsie thing. It's funny. All right, so we kind of need a setting to specify that an update is ready to install. The only issue with that is, hmm, we ideally we would use a separate file to specify it because it does take a while to load up all the settings, and we want it to go as quick as it can. So ideally, we would create a file to specify that an update was ready to go. In the update folder. But then when we actually run the update, we need to make sure it's gone. Too productive. Betas everywhere. The Oprah of emulation. Oh no. Oh no. Revert. You added your Neo Geo ROMs and it put them in as categories. Is there a way to revert this? If you have backups, it should have created backups of your playlist files in the. So you go into the backups folder in your LaunchBox folder. You have backups of every single file. So you can go, and these are timestamps on the end, so you can go retrieve a backup. That's going to be your best bet of your playlist files, if you can figure that out, and then put them in your data folder. That's about all you can do, I think. Falcon, if you want to revert that. So, this is annoying, but I think the best way to do this is to create a stupid little text file in the updates folder that specifies that a particular file is ready to update. And put the file name in it. And then if that file exists on startup, you run the update and exit. I don't know what else to do for that. I gotta take a pee though, guys, so I'll be right back and then we'll hop in on that. Coincidence? I don't know, James. I don't know.
Ew.
That I don't have to do. I already did that today, James. Temporary text log file in the update folder. Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing, actually, Retro. Although I don't know if we need an actual log file, but yeah, ultimately it's going to be a file that specifies that it needs to run the update on next startup. All right, so we're going to create a file. And I think the fastest way to write out a file, what is it, a text writer? I can't remember, man. I can never remember this stuff. C# create text file. File that create text. That's what I thought. Good. Nice and simple. Or wait. Nope. Right line. Okay, yeah. So if file.exists, we need the path, the file name. String updater file path equals path.combine. Application.startup path updates update status. That works, doesn't matter. If not directory.exists, we need a folder equals path.combine application dot startup path updates. Not directory.exists folder. We're gonna need this stuff up top because the same thing is gonna have to be used in here. Not directory.exists folder updates folder updates folder. Actually, I mean, really, this should be done. I don't know. Whatever. If not directory.exists updates folder directory.create directory updates folder, then we go down here, updater file path, updates folder, and then the file name is update status. And if file exists, update status or updater file path, then file.delete updater file path. Then we use var writer equals new equals file dot create text. The updater file path. What just happened? Okay, and then we simply call writer.writeLine, and we have file path, but we just want path.get file name file path. And that'll close it. And we put the file in there to know that we have an update to run. The only other thing to worry about is we want to make sure when the update completes, we delete it. Anytime an update gets completed, we need to make sure we delete that file. Which... But really, this is... So basically, this anytime this update runs, we got to make sure that... But only when the update actually runs, not when it's downloaded. Although... So you have one downloaded, and you start a new... Yeah, I think that should be safe. I think that should be safe. If we do it in this method here, we make sure we delete it there when you actually run the update. So now the program class here's the update stuff. Excuse me. Okay, this is where we run the update for LaunchBox or Big Box. And this is where we would need to delete that file. And we also need to add a new block in here to see if the file exists, and then run it if it does, etc., etc., etc. Catch up on some comments here. Maybe not. Who's got time for washing hands? I did wash my hands, mind you. Oh, man. I'm not grown, I'm just a boy. Sort by games with no image. No, that has been requested a few times. That's not in there currently. I'm 12 years old, and what is this? Sid. That's funny. The colon character messes with the LaunchBox database search. It does? Later, Stiflus. Morning, Death Row. Colon character messes up searches. Okay, well that's good to know. I didn't know that. Oh, wash. Oh, man. Enjoy that, 84. All right. So in the case we run this stuff, basically we need to delete the file. And really I should put that in a method because we're going to need to use the method. So in my background updater, I'm going to create a method, public static void create update status string file path. And then we need another one called public static void delete update status. So it's centralized there. And we're going to go and that's ultimately the code. We're going to feed it background updater.create update status file path. And then in here, string updates folder, we get the updates folder. If it doesn't exist, we create it. We get the updater file path. If the file exists, we delete it. And we write the file name out. Delete update status is going to be similar. Create the update folder, we get the file path. If it exists, we delete it. It's that simple. Okay. And then we need something to get it, I guess. Might as well do that in the same kind of thing here. Public static string get update status file. Same kind of code. Whoops. If not file exists, we're going to return null. Otherwise, we need to read the file and get the file name. Okay. Delete update status, get update status file. Ultimately, we got to read that. So it's easy though. File.read all text, updater file path, string file name, and then I'm going to say string file. Well, we're going to return path.combine application.startup path updates, then file name, and we have our file. However, if string file path, let's add this in here too. If file.exists file path, we're going to return file path. Otherwise, we're going to be returning null. And then what about like deleting it? If the file doesn't exist, we should probably just delete it. We're going to call background updater dot delete update status. If the file does exist, in theory we could actually delete it at that point because we're going to feed it over and run it. Right? Might as well. And then we return our file path. Okay. So then here, at this point, anytime we run this directly from the update call, I'm going to call background updater.delete update status. I'm going to go ahead and just put that first. That should be fine. Then the only other thing we need to do here is add a whole other block for running whether or not update was called. We also have to do that in Big Box. Yeah, we're not going to steal from Emu Movies. Or we could just use the bear gif. Yeah, feel free to upload. Well, if they're okay, so if they're from Emu Movies, let's not upload them anywhere. Yeah, the low res videos are already available for free from Emu Movies, I believe. If you download them directly from the site, I don't want to bother with duplicating all that bandwidth. We are going to get to the point here, guys, where I'm going to need to hop on the server. So I might end this a few minutes early in order to be able to do that and not break my, my momentum here as far as getting this is implemented. So, but I'm going to keep going for the immediate, and then whenever I get to the point where it's time to hop on the server and do that stuff, we'll just end the stream then. So just FYI, because I don't want to like stop what I'm working on here, because I need to just get it done. So I might as well just keep going with it. But I'm not quite there yet. We're getting close, but not quite there yet. So the next thing we need is we have this get update status file method. So string update status file equals background updater dot get update status file. If not, string.isNull or empty update status file, then we basically need to do the same thing we do down here, although but actually we should do this after all of that. So we have this if here. We're going to do an else block because that should override any other logic. We got our update status file, and this tells us that there is an update that needs to run, and we know what the file path is that we need to run, so we're going to ultimately do something like this. It's not going to be very different, really. Delete update status. We don't really need that delete update status, but whatever. Now let's go ahead and get rid of that since that's unnecessary, because the get update status file already deletes it. And then, oh, we need to check if it's big box or LaunchBox that's running. In this case, it's always going to be LaunchBox. So we're going to do this. And we run it twice in case we run into some kind of weird, I'm not sure why I did this, honestly. But we'll go ahead and leave that in there just in case. LaunchBox is having trouble starting the setup application because it seems that another application is using the file. Please try again or try downloading the latest version of the website to update instead. Alright, that's fine. Cool. So in theory, that'll do it, I think. Can't really test it until I do the server stuff, though, so that's about where we're at, guys. It's about all I can do for now without getting into the server-side stuff to get that all ready to go. The main issue is I'm not feeding the version back, and I got to be able to do that. So I'll catch up on comments here, and then we'll go ahead and end the stream just a few minutes early so that I can hop on the server and start doing all that behind-the-scenes stuff. Yeah, we're not going to be hosting any of the EME Movies videos. Even the stuff that they give away for free, we're not going to host all that stuff. Because you can just create an account and get them yourself. It's not even for free. No big deal. Hey, Matic. Yeah, background updates. Although we're about to end the stream here because I need to work on some server-side stuff, security sensitive stuff. But thank you, everybody. Good stream, some good progress, although we did run into some hurdles. More hurdles than usual. But I guess it just depends on what we're working on here. But I'm going to go ahead and end it so I can hop on the server and fix the rest of this stuff up and get it going. And hopefully before the date is out, we'll have a beta up with the updater stuff, and who knows, maybe some of the database stuff. We'll see. The duplicate image stuff, I'm not sure. We'll see how much I can get in today. Worst case scenario might be tomorrow before a beta if I run into some issues and can't put out a beta, but I think hopefully we'll have a beta out today because I know it's been a long time. So take it easy, everybody. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. PST, as always. Have a good one, folks.